Hello, friends. Welcome back to Love Wrestling. Spencer Love here, and you know that I've got to bring you another great guest from Ring of Honor on the precipice of another great weekend for the promotion. Shane Taylor, of course, the head of Shane Taylor Promotions, joining me, 1/3 of the World Six-Man Tag Team Champions, and an individual I am incredibly excited to talk to today, man. It's great to have you on. How are things? I know it's been an exciting time in the Taylor household, but how are things inside the world of professional wrestling?
Man, thank you. First and foremost, thank you so very much for having me. Things are exciting, man. Things are good. Daughter's starting first grade, so that's the buzz in the house. She's off. She just had her first day. So, but now into the wrestling world, it's time for me to start getting mentally geared up again to head out to Philly. Me and the guys, obviously big weekend for us. Glory by honor, big weekend for ROH. Going back to the 2300, back to the city of brotherly love. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time.
Absolutely, man. Now, obviously, the venue moving for a very, very good reason, but how much does that impact you guys? You get the opportunity, albeit out of some fairly unfortunate circumstances, to head to Philly, one of the great wrestling cities in the world. How excited are you to defend some championships in a real legendary city and a real legendary arena to boot?
Man, everything is lining up the exact way that we wanted to. You know, for a long time, the six-man titles for ROH were just that. They were just the six-man titles. But with us, they are the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team titles. We are so ready, so amped up, and so prepared to defend these titles and make these the championships that everybody is talking about, everybody is gunning for, because that's what they were supposed to be. And somewhere along that line, they lost their way. So STP is working our asses up to make sure we bring that reputation right back. And, you know, our opponents, you're talking about Incoherent, Delirious, Frightmare, Hollowig. And for us, if they're already bringing back legendary tag teams, legendary true trios to try to take these off of us, to us, that's already a sign that we're on the right track, right?
Yeah,
that's
man. Already
already a sign that we're clearing out the divisions. That's already a sign that, you know, we're already chasing ghosts, so to speak. So we're looking forward to it. You got three guys who are unpredictable in nature, who are going to, you know, be absolutely crazy out there against three of the baddest dudes in all of professional wrestling. So it's going to be one hell of a fight.
It's pretty cool how it seems to parallel your World TV Championship run a couple of years ago, where when you did interviews back then, it was the same thing as you want to make this the world's television championship. You now talk about the trios championships with the same sort of passion, for lack of a better way to put it. Is that always your goal when you're carrying a title, or is it just have the best matches possible? Or what's the mindset of Shane Taylor, the champion?
A little bit of both. You know what I mean? I'm in a position where I know for a fact that people didn't want me on this platform. I know for a fact that they didn't want me to have the success that I'm having. They didn't want it to happen. They didn't feel that it was good. They didn't feel that, you know, it was something that we needed to promote. But yet here I am. And I take stuff like that personally. I already have a chip on my shoulder. That only makes it bigger. And when you do that to me, you give me all the incentive in the world to make you look stupid. You know what I mean? So for me, it's about proving it to those who didn't want it to happen, but also proving it to those who've been supporting me from day one, because I want to go out there and have the very best match possible, the very best fight possible, the match that everybody is leaving that building talking about. And for the better part of the last 4 years, I feel as though when you're making that list of who did that, in a talented roster like we have with some of the very best of all time in ROH, my name is at the top of that list, if not the top 2 or 3, right? So to be able to perform that way, to be able to be that consistent, to be able to not only do it myself, but elevate my guys with me, to have us all be on that same platform, to me, that's what it's all about. And any championship that I hold, to me, is the one that is the most important and is the one that everybody should be gunning for, because the things that I represent, I feel as though truly represent the spirit of ROH, right?
I love
the
it.
spirit of our ROH when their mission statement was, we're the baddest here, come prove us wrong.
I love it, man. And it seems like, intangible again might be the best word for it, but it seems like that's the one common trait between everybody in Shane Taylor Promotions. I think you can speak obviously to everybody being a great pro wrestler, obviously
Right.
in STP and Ring of Honor as a whole, but maybe give me a little bit on what makes Shane Taylor Promotions and the people you've chosen to be a part of it so invaluable to you.
Mentality. If I had to pick one word, that would be it. You're talking about individuals like myself, Ron Hunt, Khan Moses, and O'Shea Edwards, all people who, when we sat down and we talked about the landscape of professional wrestling, what the lack of opportunity, especially for people of color, the stereotypes that we're forced into, the boxes that we're forced into, a lot of the people who are in charge who have no idea how to promote the culture, how to promote to a minority fan base. All of these things were goals that we wanted to change. We're all college educated. We all own our homes. We all, so we're well seasoned in life, and now we're looking at how do we not only solidify ourselves, solidify our individual talents, but what can we do with this platform and this brand to help usher in a new era of this sport for every generation coming after us, right? Because there's a lot of people who came before us who were successful. They didn't necessarily keep those doors open when they walk through them, right? And that was the mindset back then, was I'll get mine, you worry about yours. And that's just not how we all roll. We all go, if I open this door, I'm holding it open for as long as I can, watching as many people run through as possible until someone tells me, yo, I got it, you go, right? And the process will continue to go. So
I love that.
Finding guys like that, they all have the same thinking, and that's what makes us different, and that's what makes us special.
It's very cool to hear how consistent that is anytime I talk with people from Ring of Honor, and that it's not a, you're in my spot mentality. It's the rising tide raises all boats mentality. I have to ask you, because you alluded to it there as well. John Gresham did an interview with Sean Ross Sapp a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how cool it is that Ring of Honor not only is promoting all of its professional wrestlers, but promoting Black culture and giving you guys opportunities to do like the Black Lives Matter roundtable you did. Just again, how much does that mean to you guys to have that opportunity when, not to highlight or single out any other promotions, but you really don't see that elsewhere?
It's definitely important, because it's something that has been a point of contention at times, right? But a lot of these things are necessary, and they're supposed to be uncomfortable, right? So these are topics that that a lot of places didn't touch for years, and a lot of places still don't. So you have to give credit to ROH in that regard. A lot of the groundwork for things like that, for these discussions, are put in by guys like myself, guys like Caprice Coleman, Kenny King, who are saying, yo, these are the things that we need to do. And kudos to them for being receptive to the idea and giving us the platform to be able to speak about these things, because they're very important. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done with us, but even more so when you look at the landscape of pro wrestling and how things are, in companies around the world. So credit for sure for being able to give us the platform to say and do these things. But what's going to mean more is the continued work and the continued structure that we build to continue to provide opportunity going forward.
A first step is important, but it's only the first step, right?
Absolutely.
What's the overall vibe in the ROH locker room now then? You're talking about your own thoughts on moving to the 2300 arena this weekend, but how's the entire locker room feeling with fans returning pretty well back to full force as far as that thing goes?
They're excited. We've been the time in the bubble and in TVs with no fans, guys were going as hard as they possibly could and putting on incredible performances. And now we got a taste of what that would be like again in Baltimore when we had fans back for Bass in the World. And now going into an arena like the 2300 capacity crowd, everybody going nuts. It's going to be absolute chaos in that building. And I can't wait to see the kind of matches, the kind of performances that people put on, because it's going to be special.
It's a question that I've been asking everybody because, frankly, I thought it would have been a lot more of a clear cut to one side. But have you found it harder to adjust to coming back to fans, or did you find it harder to adjust to not having fans initially when, the whole COVID pandemic started?
Honestly, I think I'm one of the few that it doesn't really affect me either way.
Okay.
Because for me, the only awkward match was the very first one, because I think just the way we train our minds and the way we have trained our responses was always to crowd noise, right? Mm-hmm. So you kind of already have your wrestling GPS, right, with the crowd. But with that gone, you now just have to be like, all right, I know the way. Let me just get there, right? But for me, not having a crowd there was able to highlight some of the things that people didn't know that I did before, whether it's the sound of strikes or the way I talk trash throughout the entire match. People now hear these things and they're like, oh, well, I like this too, right? Yeah. So that was a bonus for us because we're a trash talking bunch of dudes. So that was great that people got to not only see the matches, but hear the personalities as well. And we've been performing in front of crowds in Texas and different places all throughout. So there's no adjustment for us there. It's going to be an exciting crowd for sure. It's going to be energetic, absolutely, but it's not going to be anything that we haven't seen nor heard before. So we'll be able to focus in and do what we do just like every other time.
Excellently put, my friend. Now, I wouldn't be doing my, and I use my air quotes for me specifically, journalistic job if I wasn't asking, but you got a pay-per-view stretching 2 nights. You got a capacity crowd. Ring of Honor's been sending out some fairly interesting posts on social media about the Forbidden Door maybe opening. Mm-hmm. Is there maybe anybody out there, any trios or anybody individually that maybe Shane Taylor would like to step across the squared circle from sooner rather than later?
Any and every trio could get it. You know what I mean? A lot of people have been tugged away behind borders or in other countries, kind of just holding on to trios titles. They're not doing the things with those titles that we're doing with ours. So if people want a unification fight to see who the greatest trio is in the world of professional wrestling, I welcome it. You know what I mean? I welcome anything, any partnership that's going to actually help Ring of Honor. If it doesn't, then keep the door closed, in my opinion. But if it helps Ring of Honor, then great. You know what I mean? Historically, that hasn't been the case. But you know what I mean? This is what it is. But I have said and will say and will continue to say, Ring of Honor from top to bottom has the very best roster in all of professional wrestling. So I don't believe it's something that we need. But again, if it is something that the fans want and it's something that helps Ring of Honor, then I'm all on board.
I love to hear it, man. You've done a great job throughout this entire podcast. If there's anybody out there who ain't convinced to be tuning in this weekend, then by this point of the interview, I frankly don't know why. But let's close it out here. You and I are riding up the proverbial elevator together, and you're trying to convince me to tune in this weekend to Glory by Honor. Give me the elevator pitch, Shane. How do you convince me to tune in?
You're about to see the greatest wrestling on the planet, and it's going to be showcased by the baddest group you've ever seen. We are going to be punching people in the face, talking trash, and doing it in the city of Philadelphia. You don't want to miss it.
Hell yeah. You don't need a long elevator ride for that one, friends. But let me tell you, if you ain't buying after that, I said before that you were crazy for not tuning in. So imagine my thoughts right now. Shane, if people want to keep up to date with you prior to Glory by Honor, during the event itself, or after, of course, to keep up with what you guys have going on with STP, how can they do so on social media? Where can they keep up to date with the latest and greatest from you, friend?
At Shane216 Taylor on Instagram and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a follow. And while you're there, check out the rest of the guys, Khan, Moses, O'Shea, Ron Hunt. If you're in the merch buying mood, links to all the merch are in the bios. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting this crazy wrestling dream of mine for the last 14 years. And thank you for supporting Shane Taylor Promotions. We are truly for the people and for the culture.
And thank you for supporting me hopping on the show today, friend.
Yes,
all of you guys tuned in. All of those links can be found below this video, or they can be found in the description if you were tuned into the audio version. But we like supporting great pro wrestling, but even more than that, we like supporting great individuals. Shane is certainly one of those individuals. And luckily, I've had the chance to find that out face to face, and I can't wait for the next opportunity. Make sure, friends, Glory by Honor is available this weekend. You got a 2-night event coming from the 2300 Arena, and I don't need to sell you on why you need to tune in. I would just do a worse job than Mr. Shane Taylor did, so why bury myself? Thank you guys once again for tuning in here on Love Wrestling. It is always appreciated when you show us some love. Give us a like, a share, a follow, a Yelp review. Give us some love on Nexopia, whatever social media platform you're on. It is always appreciated. For Shane Taylor Promotions, I'm Spencer Love. Thanks for tuning in.